Start your routine. Get up, and grab a cup of caffeine. Sit back, tune in, and wake up to Bill Flynn in the morning.
The voice of Winston's hometown station, Bill Flynn.
And good morning. I can promise you an eye-opening, caffeinated next few minutes with us here at AM980, The Eagle. And we are joined this morning to talk about Islam and what it means to be a Muslim, and even a Muslim in America, by somebody who knows. And his name is Usama Dakdok, a Coptic Christian, grew up in Egypt, and is now a Christian evangelist. You and I met yesterday. There was a bus parked out in front of the radio station, and lo and behold, a man walks in and says, "Hi, I'm Usama. Who are you?" And we spoke briefly. You're speaking tonight, I do want to mention, at Old Clemens School in Clemens. There's a church there called Crossbound Community Church, and you'll be speaking there this evening at 7. So let me encourage folks to know and do that event as well. But good morning.
Oh, good morning, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. Now, let me talk a little bit about your history. You actually helped to translate the Qur'an. Is that correct?
That's true.
Into English.
Well, what happened a good 11 years ago when we do this ministry, I was about to write a book. It's called Exposing the Truth About the Qur'an. And there I found out all the English translation which is available. I bought maybe 8 or 9 of them here in America. And all the verses which I would like to pick out of the Quran to write my new book were all twisted. I could not find one true English translation. So I was shocked.
Now, why would that be the case? Why would there be apparently a deliberate twist in the English version versus the actual Arabic style?
Well, because Muslims would like to hide all the truths and all the facts about their religion. If I want to look at a verse to talk about jihad, well, the word jihad was never mentioned once. If I want to talk about Muhammad for being a womanizer, the verse did not make him a womanizer. He's just a godly, loving husband instead of a ungodly, wicked man who sleep around. Or
now, you don't know when you say things like that, you become a target.
Well,
right.
my brother, the truth will set America free. And the truth is the only thing is here to set even the Muslim free of their cult, the cult of Islam. We're not we're not teaching hate here, or not, we're just literally telling the West and telling the Muslim about Islam from their own holy books.
So there are a lot of Muslim people that don't know this?
Well,
is that your view?
87% of the Muslim worldwide, and I guarantee you a larger number than that here in America, who are Muslim without Islam. They could not read the Arabic language, and if they count their blessing on this English translation of the Quran, we have a problem because they are building their hope on a false Quran, false Islam.
Very interesting. All right, if we're going to be talking about this for a while, and if you have a question and would like to speak to our expert, you're welcome to join us on the program, 896-1980, 896-1980. So, the whole thing that so many Americans are thinking about is, listen, we have the First Amendment. We can worship who we want to or not without the government getting in the way. Mm-hmm. Now, tell me why in America you see a particularly dangerous combination between the practice of Islam and, say, the United States Constitution or the tenets of American life.
Well, it's a fact is Muslim using the freedom of religion, which we have here in America, to take over America. But if we understand Islam, if we have read the Quran, Allah's word, and the Hadith, Muhammad's word, we will discover that Islam is anti-freedom of religion. As a matter of fact, the same tool Muslims are using to take over America, we can use the same tool to stop Muslim from exist in America. Islam is not a religion. Islam is a wicked cult, and it's built from within it with its political agenda to, when it moved to someplace, it take over. So Muslims say we have the freedom of religion to build a mosque, to worship however we wish in America. And I tell the Muslims and I tell the American, if you understand Islam, you see that is the end of freedom of religion. And because of freedom of religion, we can stop Muslim from building one more mosque. As a matter of fact, we can close the last existing mosque, because what we know about Islam is not the real Islam. Islam teach if you're a Christian, you're an infidel, and we must kill you so we can take your wife and your daughter to rape them, to bring a new Muslim generation, ethnic cleansing. And if you're a Jew, we do the same thing. And if you're an atheist, we do the same thing. So they're here to take over.
Let me understand. You're not suggesting that this is just for, the term sometimes comes up, a radical Islam or Islamist or...
brother, that's a problem.
Yeah.
George W. Bush invented the word radical Islam. He said we're in war with radical Islam. I'm sorry. We're in war with Allah. We're in war with Muhammad. If you have read the Quran word, you know the word war in the Quran is mentioned 79 times. And Allah is declare this war from the days of Muhammad 1436 years ago against everyone who does not believe in Islam. So is Muhammad. When Allah said, engage in war with them, Allah will torment them by your hand, give you victory over them. I mean, that's the teaching of Allah. When Allah in the Quran chapter 8 verse 65 said, "O you prophet, provoke the believers to engage in war." That's the teaching of Allah. So they are the believers of Islam who are commanded by Allah, by Muhammad, to engage in war with us.
Hey, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back and talk more about this. And one of the questions we're going to ask is it mythology to think of the peaceful Muslim just down the road who wants to be left alone and go to the mosque and pray? We're going to talk about that and your questions as well. 896-1980, and we will continue this morning. Bill Flynn with Usama Dakdok.
Call now. The number is 896-1980. 896-1980. AM980, The Eagle.
And good morning, Bill Flynn this morning. Welcome to the program, 896-1980, our phone number. And I can tell you that the next few minutes you spend with us are going to be very, very dicey as we get information that maybe you just haven't gotten anywhere else. And for that, we are thankful to our visitor this morning, Usama Dakdok. He grew up in Egypt as a Coptic Christian, understands well, has actually helped translate the Qur'an into English after noticing the English versions of the Qur'an did not have an accurate translation. And we talked a little bit about why that was the case. But you have a book out. Let's talk about that real quickly,
Sure.
too.
Exposing the Truth About the Quran, which was actually the book which I was planning to write first 10 years ago or so. And as you read the Quran, Muslim will always tell you that we believe in the same God. Allah and God are the same. And we believe in the same prophets, that is Prophet Noah, Prophet Adam, Prophet Abraham, Prophet David, Prophet Isa, which is the name Muhammad given for Jesus. And we worship, we almost the same faith, the same belief. You know, there's not much difference between Christianity and Islam. But as you study these stories, start from creation all the way to the story of Muhammad, as I put in my 41 chapters, 800 plus pages, you will see that none of these story of prophets have anything to do with the true story or the true account of the Bible. So, but you read a little bit about Noah everywhere in the Quran, Moses, 27 locations in the Quran. So Muhammad spread his information about these prophets all over the Quran. It's written in very inconsistent way. Sometimes he starts with Adam, sometimes he starts with Moses, sometimes starts with Abraham, sometimes starts with Noah. Different chapters have different order. So what I did is I collect all what Allah said about creation in one chapter, all what Allah said about Noah, another chapter, Adam, another chapter. And then we explain the interpretation of these verses by the great Muslim scholar Ibn Kathir. And then we show you all the error and the contradiction of the writings of Muhammad in the Quran. And then we give the true account from the Bible to each one of these stories.
Now, have you been targeted for harassment and or death because of some of these things you talk about?
Well, Muslims like me to talk about that, but I choose to drop this question, and I love them for who they are. They are our enemy, and Christ commands us to love our enemies, and we'll go from there.
Now, I find it fascinating when you grow up in Egypt, you often would be assaulted either mentally or verbally or physically, correct?
That is the norm way of life in Egypt among Christians.
So did you grow up fighting every opportunity?
No.
What happens there?
Christian Egypt don't fight. When they burn our churches, we apologize to them. We say we love you. When they kill some of our people or kidnap any of our ladies, they always kidnap, 15, 17 years old, and they say she became a Muslim, and they marry her to some Muslim guy. And we always forgive, and we always love, and we always turn the other cheek. The number of Christians who were killed the last 1,400 years in Egypt is beyond number. You cannot count them. At least in the first 100 years, Muslim killed 4 million Christian men in Egypt, and they kidnapped their wives and their daughter, which is literally the teaching of Allah in the Quran. That's what they call what your right hand possessed, concubines, the slaves. And that's how Egypt today is over 90% or so Muslims.
Do you think, we talked before the break about the idea, Islam is the peaceful religion, and it's just somebody wanting to practice a belief that's maybe different from yours, that lives down the street, and just don't worry about that. Let them have the mosque. Let them have their belief set. This is America. Would you address that?
That's why I'm asking American people to read the Quran. It's amazing. Every time, even when I speak in churches, and people say, I'm not going to buy the Quran. I'm not going to read the Quran. Why do I need to read the Quran for? It's a Muslim book. I said, as long as we don't read the Quran, as long as we don't understand Islam, Muslim will take over America. There's no such a thing as a loving, peaceful Muslim. Because there is no such...
You said two things here. You're moving very quickly.
Okay.
You believe Islam is destined, or at least Muslims believe they need to take over America if they believe the Quran.
That's why. That's a fact. If you look at the word immigrant or immigrate, the verb immigrate, in the Quran, in all over the Quran, you'll see there is always a word tied to the word immigrate. For Allah said, those who believed and immigrate, don't stop there, keep going, and perform jihad for the sake of Allah. This is a verse repeated throughout the Quran. Immigration in Islam is tied with performing jihad. And that is what we do not know about the Quran, and that's what we do not know about Islam. We look in American here, everybody is immigrant. I came from Egypt, your parents came from some other place around the world, but Muslims come to America as immigrant with the ties of jihad.
They're designed to do that. Now, let's talk a little bit about the most recent example we know with the brothers in the Boston Marathon bombing. There's been some indication that the younger brother was being badly influenced by his older brother. Is that part of the message that
that's what the media, that's what the liberal media tried to give us the reason why it's happened. They ask a question, who did it and why they did it? But in the same time, they're not willing to listen to the answer for this question. For yes, this younger brother was influenced by his older brother. And who influenced his older brother? It was Sheikh Faiz Muhammad from Australia. And who influenced Sheikh Faiz Muhammad of Australia, this Imam? No, we don't want to talk about that, to stop there. No, he was influenced by the word of Allah in the Quran and the commands of Muhammad in the Hadith. Allah in the Quran said, kill them. Literally, Muhammad said, I have been commanded to engage in war with people until people testify to the fact that there is no God but Allah and to believe in me. I am his messenger. So that is a message of Muhammad. I know here in America, people think that Muhammad was a prophet of peace and love. As much people, he believes that Islam is a religion of peace and love. But there is not one verse in the Quran teach love or peace. I challenge a Muslim to call us right now and give me one verse in the Quran where the verse teach love or peace, or one statement of Muhammad in his own saying, in his own hadith, to show us love and peace. But the opposite is true. I can give you enough verses and statement of Muhammad which teach the opposite.
All right, the opportunity is there to challenge our guests this morning, and we will continue with the work and the insight from Usama Dakdok this morning, who is speaking tonight at 7 o'clock at the Crossbound Community Church. That's at Old Clemens School in Clemens tonight at 7 if you'd like to hear more. And we'll continue on AM 980, The Eagle.
Call now. The number is 896-1980. 896-1980. AM 980, The Eagle.
And good morning, Bill Flynn this morning, and thank you for starting your day with us. It's a bit of an unusual treat to be able to welcome a guest on the program early this morning, and thank you for getting up early and joining us. I know you got a breakfast to do later this morning, and you'll also be at the Old Clemens School in Clemens, North Carolina tonight at the Crossbound Community Church, and your discussion will be inside the Qur'an, and it is with Usama Dakdok, who is our guest this morning. Grew up in Egypt. It's an amazing story, I guess. Did you ever imagine growing up as a kid in Egypt that you'd be sitting in North Carolina doing a radio show and being an evangelist for Christ in America?
I don't think so. I didn't even thought in my life that I'll be speaking English. That's a language I hated all my life.
Why'd you hate it?
I could not speak it. I could not. I did not write it. It's just a terrible story anyway. But the fact is, the first time I heard America, if I remember, when I was maybe 7, 8 years old, across the street from our home, which was our church as well, and the mosque imam used to shout, "Death to America," and the people behind him shout, "Death to America."
And this is when you were a kid.
Yeah, "Death to Israel, death to Israel." And you hear what's all the dumb excuse the liberal will give why Muslim hate us about being in Saudi Arabia or being supportive of Israel. This is a joke. This is just excuse. Muhammad taught the Muslim not to take Jews and Christian for friend. Quran chapter 5, verse 51, 1,400 years ago. So have nothing to do with existence of Israel or the war or anything. They choose to hate us. And I remember asking my daddy, "Who is this guy?" He said, "What guy?" I said, "America. They want to kill him." Daddy said, "That's not a guy. That's a country. That's a Christian people who live far away from us." And I couldn't understand at this age, 8, 9 years old, why these people in this mosque hate the American or hate Israel.
But it was part of the recitation on a routine basis, daily basis?
It is whenever there is a big crowd of Muslim gathered in a mosque to do their Friday prayer, and you get some good Muslim imam, a man who believes in Allah's word, who repeats, they actually were quoting the verse of Allah. When Muhammad said, "Kill them," what does Muhammad mean by kill them? He meant kill them. So that's why they were shouting death to us. And this has been all my life. I've seen it. And that's why when I walk in the streets of America here in any of the cities and I see this big mosque, I know what this mosque will be someday. It will be a place to launch attack against American, to kill American, to burn churches. And that's not only my word, that's even been proven by the Holy Land Foundation trial. As a Muslim wrote, and the FBI knows that since 1991, that's years before September 11. And it's said there that they will be using the mosque to launch attack as American, as Muhammad did in his early mosque. That is written on paper in our court system, sir. And the American people and the FBI and CIA are ignoring this fact by allowing Muslims to keep building mosques all over this country.
What do you say? And these are just, I'm sure for a lot of people, startling revelations, because we have so often been reinforced by people in positions of leadership that Islam is a religion of peace. What do you say, and what is your view of interfaith services where Christian leadership gets together with an imam or Muslim leadership? Talk to me about why you see that happening and the end game of that.
Interface, it's a joke, and the proof of it is I have tried so many times to attend this meeting with my camera, and they immediately ask me to shut my camera off or to tape it, just soundbite, and they refuse. It is nothing but it's a joke. It's a baloney meetings, and all what's happening there is you see an ignorant Christian, an ignorant Jew, an ignorant Sikh, an ignorant Buddhist who know nothing about this Muslim man who sit with them, and he's smiling at all their faces, pretend to be having a great time in interfaith meetings. And the end of this meeting, 50 years from now, when Muslims take over America, when Muslim will have the upper hand, as Allah stated in the Quran, chapter 47 and verse 35, when Allah said, "Do not be weak and do not call for peace when you have the upper hand." When Muslim have the upper hand in America, all these people who sit around the table holding hands, singing the Kumbaya song of interfaith, all of them will be killed by the hand of the Muslim.
What about the opportunities? And I see it surprisingly across either people I know or people in political power. it seems as if there's an effort underway for Muslims to marry into families of wealth, influence, and power in this country.
Sure.
Is that my imagination, or is there a program, or is there a design to do that?
They have been trained before they come to the state. When you get to America, fall in love with some important female who belong to some important man and marry them. And notice, Muslim marry Christian women, but Christian men cannot marry Muslim women.
Stay there. We're going to come back. We got one final segment before we send you off to your big breakfast this morning. Usama Dakdok is with us, a man that has translated the Qur'an into English and knows of what he speaks, and we'll continue on AM 980, The Eagle. AM 980, The Eagle, Bill Flynn this morning, and we'll continue in just a moment with our guest with the Straight Way of Grace Ministry. His name is Usama Dakdok. He grew up as a Coptic Christian and is now a man that speaks the truth as he knows it about Islam, and says that Muslims, in fact, are victims of Islam. And we'll talk about how that works coming up in your calls as well. Straight ahead on The Eagle.
896-1980. Connect with AM 980 The Eagle.
Good morning. Bill Flynn this morning on AM 980 The Eagle. And we're going to have just a few more minutes with our guest this morning, Usama Dakdok. And he does presentations for churches. And by the way, if you have a church you attend or you're a pastor and you would like to invite Mr. Dakdok to come speak about women in Islam and revealing the truth about Islam and these kinds of topics, which are really essential for, I would say, all Americans to understand and know about, especially those involved in ministry or attending church. Let me encourage you to do that. You can drop a note and find out more at the website, thestraightway.org, the straightway, STRAIGHT way.org. And that's what you do. You travel around the country doing presentations. And I do want to mention, there's one tonight, Crossbound Community Church. You'll be speaking at 7 o'clock, and your topic will be Inside the Qur'an with Usama Dakdok. So if you can get a chance to see that event, it may be a very, very good thing for you to be aware of. You've uncovered for you've pulled the sheet back for a lot of people, I think, about the truth of Islam, and it comes from a great knowledge, having translated from Arabic into English, because you found out that the English versions, before you started doing this, were literally hiding the truth about what was in the Quran.
That's true. That's fact. It's sad because if that's all what the Westerns know about Islam, it's a sorrowful stage. Especially if from all the men and women I met in America, black men especially in prison, who believe in Islam, and women who become a Muslim, when you ask them about the Islam they believe in, it is a complete different picture.
It's like Disneyland.
It's exactly than the true Islam of the Quran. And every time something happened in America, September 11 or just the last shooting in Boston, you come up, the liberal or the moderate Muslim, which I don't believe they exist because there's no moderate Islam, they come up with all the excuses, but not one person yet have the guts to open the Quran and to read. Maybe that is the real Islam. There is no such a thing, radical Islam, because that is the teaching of Allah in the Quran. Unless Allah got it wrong and Muhammad misunderstand the message, then maybe we have a different Islam.
Let's grab one of our callers this morning, and Mo is checking in with us to ask a question. Good morning, Mo.
Good morning. Yes, I'm the Kafir, Mountain Man Mo, right here.
You're Kafir. For people that don't know, that means that you are not part of the believership in Islam, right?
I am pretty well an apostate as far as Islam goes.
And that means that you, does that mean he is a top subject to be taken out?
The word kafir means infidel. I put it as infidel in my English translation, which means disbeliever in Islam. And all Christians are infidels. Quran chapter 5, verse 72, and Quran chapter 5, verse 73. If you believe Jesus, Son of God, or if you believe in Father, Son, Holy Spirit, you are an infidel. So,
and the command to...
obviously to kill us. Allah in Quran...
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I've talked to many practitioners of the faith of Islam, and they have all told me that there is no English interpretation that is correct as far as Quran goes. You must read it in the Arabic form. In fact, It's got to be on a particular paper, and even I think the ink has to be.
That's why 87% of our Muslim friends worldwide have not yet read the Quran the last 1400 years because they cannot read Arabic. No, this is a lie. This is a lie, brother. My Quran is an accurate English translation. It's not sugar-coated. It's not watered down. And Muslim who would like to challenge me, I beg them, please do Allah a favor, do Muhammad a favor, do Islam a favor, and take me to court. Sue me for my translation. They call my translation an evil translation, but the fact is, it is the only accurate translation of the Quran.
You talk about women, and you touched on it briefly.
Sure.
Talk about what women face under Islamic law.
It's amazing how in America you see a lot of women covers themselves in hijab and believe in Islam because they think Islam brought justice to them. Islam brought respect for females. Islam brought equality between men and women. Islam and all this propaganda Islam, which I call hogwash Islam or baloney Islam, has been taught to them by their husbands, the Muslim men, who, by the way, in few years later, they live the opposite with them. They treat them in the opposite way of what they have learned about Islam before they become a Muslim. The Quran is very clear. Women are dirtier than dirt. Literally, Allah in the Quran said, if a man touch a woman, he become unclean. And to be clean, he must be washed before he pray. And if there is no water, he rub his hand and his face with dirt. So dirt is like shampoo compared to female because female make you unclean. The Quran teaches that women can be beaten, not can be. Allah is asking men to beat their wife as long as they don't break their bones. I translated in my English Quran, scourged. Allah command Muslim to scourge their wife. And the Quran teaches that women is equal to half of a man as they testify in a court of law or as even to inherit their own daddy. The Quran teaches that there's no real respect for humanity, not just for females or male. I believe deep in my heart that animals we have in our homes, dogs, cats, rats in America, have more rights than a man or a woman in Islam. You cannot keep your faith if you want to choose to become a Christian and you don't want to be forced into Islam. If you are Muslim, you don't want to be forced to Christianity. You have no right to choose religion Islam. If your daddy become a Muslim, you are a Muslim, like it or not. And so on. So there's no rights whatsoever in Islam for life.
Very quickly, and we're just about out of time, our leadership in the United States, in the next 10 seconds, do you believe that there is a threat, an imminent threat happening in our country in positions of political power that are being open to people of Islamic beliefs?
Brother, it was in this studio 5 years ago, before Obama took an office. I have an interview with Stude, and I told him, if Obama won, this country will be given to the Muslim. And that's exactly what's happening the last 4.5 years, literally, especially the last 100 days. We are giving the enemies of America all the weapons they need to destroy Israel, and then they will use the same weapon to destroy America. The people we used to kill under Bush, now we'll give F-16, F-18, tanks, and stealth warship, and every weapon they need to destroy us. The Brotherhood is no longer a threat to America because Obama and his administration believe that the Brotherhood are secular groups. They're not radical. They're not bad. So the foundation of the jihadists are now the loving, peaceful Muslims.
I want to thank Usama Dakdok for his courageous work and his words. The website is thestraightway.org if you would like him to come to your church or group to speak. He'll be speaking tonight at 7 at Crossbound Community Church, Old Clemens School in Clemens. Tonight at 7, he'll be speaking inside the Quran. And our thanks again to Usama Dakdok.